some important lessons from all the distinguished speakers. We have three distinguished speakers today. We'll start from Professor J.P. Singh Jurel, who is the director of Influnet Gandhinagar, Gujarat. But I'll request our coordinator and member of IQAC cell, Dr. Shambhu Prasad, to introduce Professor J.P. Singh Jurel.
Mic is mute already. Ask him to unmute his mic.
Oh, sorry. Thank you, Sarit sir, for giving me this opportunity. It's my honor and privilege to introduce Professor J.P. Singh Jurel. Prior to joining director in Influnet, he was working as professor of statistics in University of Jammu and also holding the position of director UGC Human Resource Development Center, formerly Academic Staff College. Professor Jurel has more than 33 years of vast teaching experience and research. He has served at various positions in different universities such as Jammu University, Dr. V.S. Parmar University of Horticulture and Forestry, Solan, Punjab University, Chandigarh, and UP government. Professor Jurel has supervised more than 24 PhD and MPhil students and has about 100 research papers published in referred and peer-reviewed journals of repute and presented in national and international conferences and also written chapters in a book. His research work has recognized and covered in a book titled Restricted Parameters Space Estimation Problems, Admissibility and Mini-Maximity Properties, authored by Constance Van Eden and published by Springer, NYUS. He has been invited speaker at various Center of Excellence, international conferences, universities, institutes, and HRDC academic staff colleges. He has also been UGC visiting fellow at Sardar Patel University, Gujarat. Professor J.P. Singh Jurel has contributed to higher education institutes and their management. He has served as member on Council of the Premier Institute, Indian Statistical Institute, and governing bodies of several autonomous colleges. Beside member of Planning and Monitoring Board of Universities and member syndicate currently, Professor Jurel is contributing as member on University Court, Central University of Haryana, Planning and Monitoring Board of Central University of Gujarat, ICT Committee of NAC, Academic Council of Consortium of Educational Communication, Inter-University Center of UGC, empowered by UGC CARE, Implementation Core Committee of NIRF and Framework Development Committee and team of Atal Ranking of Institution on Innovation Achievement. Professor Jurel has contributed in attaining the goal and objective of the institution as member, chairman of the various committees, and by serving as head Department of Statistics, dean faculty of mathematical science, coordinator, convener, and he has served various high-ranking committees. Professor Jurel has also contributed substantially in the field of distance education by writing study material in SLM form of student of various academic program of UG and PG level of Jammu University. He is a life member of various academic bodies, societies, and on reviewer, editorial board of the Journal of International Repute. He has also been secretary, vice president, and executive member of Indian Society of Probability and Statistics. He has visited Australia, Portugal, USA, Thailand, Taiwan, Malaysia for academic pursuit. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. You have accepted our invitation and joining with us and delivering a talk. Thank you so much and welcome you, sir.
So once again, welcome to you, sir. I'm sure every one of us will be benefiting out of your deliberation. Let me just talk about the time frame. Roughly, we are having 1 hour time, but I'll request if you can take around 50 minutes so that 10 minutes can be left where we can take certain questions or we can share some of the responses of the audience. So with this, let me invite Professor J.P. Singh Jurel to deliver on the topic called method description along with design, number of samples and data analysis. Thank you, sir.
Dr. Samu Prasad, coordinator of this program, Professor Sarit Chaudhary, all dear participants, and I'm looking here, one of my colleagues, Dr. Vivek Sharma from J&K, his name is also here. So, warm good afternoon to all of you. Bandan, Abhinandan, Savika. First of all, I extend my heartiest best wishes for Teachers' Day, as luckily today is Teachers' Day, and all of we know the reason behind celebrating this Teachers' Day. So this day, generally we should thank and remember those teachers who have saved us, guide us throughout our life, thoroughly, gently, and firmly. And I also believe teachers have the responsibility on their soldiers to save the society through not only teaching, but also by inculcating the good things, moral values, national buildings among the youth, whether they are in the early education or primary education or senior, secondary or college level or university level. Now, I first of all extend my thanks and appreciation to Professor Saket Kushwaha, the Vice Chancellor of Rajiv Gandhi University, Arunachal Pradesh, for not only extending the invitation, but the way with the pursuance and invitation, I couldn't refuse to him. So I must appreciate his efforts. I also congratulate the IQAC and this program coordinator for organizing this 5-day capacity building program on approaches for quality research paper writing in high impact journals. Friends, before coming to the topic, if you know the current scenario of total publication of India at global level, so if you speak in terms of the share of publication, I am speaking on the quality publication, So India stand at number 3 position. So it looked nice that we are at number 3rd, but when we go internally, having this exact knowledge, we are far, far behind than position 1st and 2nd. China has number 1. Their contribution is almost 21%. Then US contribution is almost 17%. India somewhere 5.4% contribution in the total higher education, in the quality publication. If you go in the terms of numbers, so that is the China somewhere 500,000 publication per annum. United States somewhere 4.5 lakh, and India somewhere around 1.35 lakh. That is the quality publication, which can be counted, or which can that is the stand for all the parameters. So this is the scenario of our that is the publication at international level. And one more thing, that is the this is the 4th day. So I hope so by 2 days, the last 3 days, you have discussed many things about the ethics, quality, journals, top rank journals, how to write, how to plan the things. So I have been asked to speak on the topics. They have decided some topics for me. That is the, I think, method description along with the design, number of samples, and data analysis. There are 2 things here. These are the topic which require for discussion in a classroom teaching at least 1 week. Classroom teaching at least 1 week, but as per the moderator, Professor Sarth Chaudhary, I have to finish it. That is the 50 minutes. So it is quite that is the impossible. But even there, I will try to cover these topics how it is possible. So directly I am coming to the research, right? Whether it is the you are doing MPhil or PhD, or you are conducting any survey either for your this obtain the PhD degree or some project also, or even after the you want to know something about your particular theme. So you are again going to conduct the survey. Means all that is your research. That is the research design. So I'm not discussing what is research, but the different type of research. No, I'm simply coming to the what are that is the research design. Again, I'm saying whatever I'm saying, that's not the, you can say that is the research design. Generally, there are the few points are involved there, but it's vary from person to person perspective. So, in my opinion, for designing research, first of all, we must formulate the research problem. Keep in view the objectives of a problem, we must define our research problem. Then immediately after defining the research problem, we must go for the, that is the, we have some sound that is the knowledge, or some sound that is the literature, that already some studies have been conducted. So we used to call that is the extensive, that is the literary survey. This, then further, we must know clearly what are the purpose of our research, why we are doing this. After defining this, next question start, what is in our mind, what we want to ascertain, what we want to test it. So means here that is the developing the hypothesis. Here that is the topic I am saying, the developing hypothesis. It is very, I think, in our statistics field, we say it is only that is two types of hypotheses are there, but in social sciences they used to talk by 10 hypotheses, 20 hypotheses. Many times they discuss it by 50 hypotheses, but we in statistics we divide only into two categories only, that is the null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis, only two hypotheses. Now then, major question arise when you decided what you design, what's the problem, you have conducted a survey, that is your review of literature also, you developed your hypothesis also, you defined your objective also. The next question is, what should be the sample size? Now, sample size is the backbone for any study. Sample size, I am also repeating, sample size is the backbone for any survey-based study. So, how to decide the sample size? And generally, if you ask this question from yourself, even from your seniors, even some teachers also, most of the teachers, students, they say, okay, you take 5%, okay, you take 100 villages, okay, you take 100 banks, okay, you take 10%. But always there is a question in mind, why 5%? Or why 100 only? Why not 98? Why not 105? So these are the many questions in our mind, so which need to be tackled technically with sound, that is supportive documents, so that the I will discuss this a little bit here, the sample that sample size. The next thing come in the picture, that is the how to collect your data, means that collecting the data, and after collecting data, you immediately start that your analysis part, go for the analysis part, and after analysis part again you go for the whatever you have assumed in the beginning, that means testing or hypothesis, and later on you may go for the generalization of your result as per your defined objectives. So I will start from generally say not take much time on discussing the research problem, literary survey. So I simply come to the basic thing, that the developing the hypothesis. Now see, only to take simple thing in your mind, we want hypothesis means any assumption, right? Any assumption. So now in statistics, we want to test hypothesis means that is any assumption regarding some parameter or some claim, right? Now, for example, I would like to say I claim that the monthly expenditure of the employees of my organization, monthly expenditure of my, on average I'm saying, employees of my organization is say per employee is 50,000 rupees, right? Now this is the claim. Now this is the claim. Now how to go for this one? So simply I'm saying, I'm making my hypothesis. What hypothesis? Now we have two things. One, as claimed by me. Second, you will verify my claim on obtaining some data directly from the employees of the organization on the basis of a survey. So here you have the two information, one as a claimed and another based on sample. So I say the one, my assumption is that there is no significant difference between these two values. There is no significant difference between claimed value and estimated value, sample value, right? I am using the word significance. Maybe some difference is there, but that difference is not so significant. So we used to call it null hypothesis, means no difference, right? And generally notation we used to call it H naught. So that is the standard notation throughout the globe and all that, all disciplines. Now opposite to this, that maybe claimed value is lower than the estimated, maybe higher, maybe not equal. So only the three category. So we have another hypothesis, we used to call it alternative hypothesis, which differs from the null hypothesis. Now there are two things here. Whole your testing procedure, whole testing of that is methodology depends only these two hypotheses, right? Why? See, now there is a basic question here. Okay, I'm discussing this in a little bit detail. Now, I'm testing a hypothesis. How many possible decisions I can take here? This is the virtual class, so there is no interaction with the participants. So just a simple question is, how many total possible decisions? Now see, the first decision may be, my claim is correct. My claim is correct means no significant difference. It means I am accepting the correct claim. The decision is okay. Right? Second, I am rejecting the wrong claim. Means again correct decision. No mistake. Right? Now, what is the problem here? The problem is here, when I will reject the correct assumption. When I reject the correct assumption, it means I am committing some mistake. Now note it, I am committing some mistake means when I reject the true assumption or true statement or true hypothesis, then I am committing a mistake. And this mistake we used to call it type 1 error. This mistake we used to call type 1 error. And fourth decision is, that is, we may accept the hypothesis which is false. It means we are accepting the wrong statement. So this is the type 2 error. This is the type 2 error. Now you may, I will cite another example of this 4 type of decisions. We are making the selection in the university system. We are appointing assistant professors. Now see, we may reject a non-deserving candidate. We are rejecting the non-deserving candidate. That is the correct decision. We are appointing a deserving candidate. Again, wrong. That is the correct decision. No problem. The problem arises here the moment we reject a deserving candidate. That is type 1 error. We appoint a non-deserving candidate is type 2 error. So here, all your testing or hypothesis is based on these 2 errors, that is type 1 and type 2 error. Now I'm converting these 2 errors in terms of probability, means chances of occurring type 1 error and type 2 error. So probability of committing type 1 error, that is called in statistics, that is the size of the test or level of significance, As a layman, you can say the level of significance means we may define our level of confidence based on this level of significance. If I say my level of significance is 5%, if my level of significance is 5%, it means my level of confidence is 95%. Right? So that is the type 1 error, probability of type 1 error. And second one, the probability of type 2 error. So the power of any test statistic is based on type 2 error. Power means any test which is will be more useful or more powerful, where the power is maximum. Or power is maximum means a test which has the more power, or when its probability of type 2 error is minimum. So our whole testing procedure is based on these 2 hypotheses and the concept behind that is the type 1 error, type 2 error, and probability of type 1 error means level of significance. Probability of type 2 error, that in terms of the power of the test, means 1 minus probability of type 2 error. So whole that is based on these 2 things. Now I'll come to the sample size. You see what the role of sample size plays. If some person here already used statistics or maybe some from mathematical background here. There is a common phenomenon here. If I go for the 100% counting without taking any sample, means we used to call it complete enumeration or census also. And we know that in that case, whatever the information obtained, that will be accurate information, exact, no estimate. It is factual information, right? But in complete enumeration, sometimes lot of resources are required in terms of time, cost, manpower. Manpower is trained manpower for conducting the survey, 100%. Many times, it's not possible to go for the 100% enumeration, as we need result in a time-bound manner, or sometimes it is not possible. Even we have a lot of resources, we have no problem with the manpower, but we cannot go for that, is you can say 100% counting, because the units are destructive in nature. Destructive in nature, for example, you say we want to go for just simple example, say any country, before the production, they go for the testing of the nuclear bomb. Now what they do? They go for maybe 1, maybe 2, maybe 3, maybe 4, but not for all. Because the moment they go for testing, the nuclear bomb will be destroyed. So this is destructive. So what to do this here? That we take a small sample and we generalize the results obtained from this sample to the larger population. So it's not possible. So that is the this concept of the 100% enumeration. And naturally the error also involved here also. These errors generally depend on the manpower also, and the typing also, analysis part also, because the handling of the large material is quite difficult. Now on the other hand, if you go for the taking a sample part, sample means by taking a small sample, a true representative of the population, you call it sample. So if we take a sample, now here, what will happen here? The value obtained from a sample is not exact value or equal to the population value, the whole population value, right? Naturally, there is a difference there. Now here, the sampling errors are involved, means that the difference in the actual and true value and estimated value due to sample, that is used to call sampling error. Now see, if we move or increase the sample size, what will happen? Our estimated value will approach to the exact value of the population, right? We can increase. Now what is the problem here? If we increase the sample size, then what will happen? Then the cost of the survey will increase. Lot of resources required, manpower also required, and non-sampling error will also increase. It means the purpose of sampling is defeated here, right? Okay, then what to do? If we decrease the sample size, then what will happen? Then sampling error our increases, and our result based on sample may or may not be accurate, or that will not in tandem with the whole population result. So there must be a need or some methodology for determining the sample size. How to determine the sample size here? So there are many methods are available in the literature. Okay, how to determine the sample size? Generally, the many times we use either the we fix the, if we have the product of the resources, we fix the cost involved in the survey, and we minimize the variability of the results, or vice versa. If cost is no problem, then we fix the variability and minimize the cost. Or sometimes we do one thing, we fix we say this is our desired level of precision. We want this much accuracy. So by fixing our means our level of confidence, right? It means by fixing the type 1 error. So this is another method. So these are the methods that you can use, different technique for find out the sample size, and you can easily determine the sample size. Nowadays, one more thing, those persons from life sciences and biological sciences, they know that now there's some ready-made software are also available for finding out the sample size. And one such software that is available, and it is the on open access software is available. The name of the software is the G-Power software. Now, G-Power software, that is a free to use software which is used to calculate the statistical power. Statistical power means power of the test that are based on type 2 error, as I have discussed here. This G-Power software offers the ability to calculate power for a wide variety of statistical tests, like you might have heard t-test, f-test, chi-square test, z-test, or even more, say ANOVA, MANOVA also, right? So you can find out by using this. Now we also know, because I think all of you have studied the mathematics, at least up to 10th standard. So you know the concept of the function, right? So this G-Power use the concept of the function, and in this formula they say there are the 5 parameters. Now out of 5, if any 4 are given, 5th can be determined. If 4 are given, then 5th can be determined. So the software that is predefined based on certain values. So we must know the 5 parameters, and the 5 parameters are, say in your language, that is either the number of groups and number of observations, effect size, significance level, means type 1 error, probability type 1 error, and power of the test. So here, if any 4 are given, you can find out 5th one. So this is the concept behind determining the sample size, and without determining the sample size, it's quite difficult to go for the survey. Now I am coming to, when you decide the sample size also, now what about that is the methods of data collection. Now here the 2 things are involved. I quickly discuss. First of all, say data is, it may be defined in different form, maybe quantitative data, qualitative data, right? Maybe primary data, secondary data, right? So all depends on what type of classification we need. So generally we define the primary data and secondary data. Primary data means any data which is collected first time direct from the respondents, that is primary data. Secondary data means any data which is already collected by someone else and available in the form of maybe book, maybe a thesis, maybe a newspaper, or maybe report, magazine. That means it's a secondary form. So this is called secondary data. Now coming, what are the different methods of data collection? Now see, nowadays there is a method that one of the first method of data collection, and now in the today's era is very much popular. The method is the observation method. Now what is observation method? Observation method means, for example, in our northeast part, most of the area is flood affected. Now we have been seen or observed that our political leaders, they might have surveyed the flood affected areas through aerial survey, maybe helicopter, right? Means without visiting the residents, just having the observations or assess of the loss or damage. Now they will go back and they will decide how much damage caused, what the community has lost. So it is just based on the observation. Or even sometimes you might have noticed that in each and every district of India, there is the IB officer or CID or RAW also. They are not contacting the persons, but they are gathering the information by observing the situation in their jurisdiction and reporting to their headquarters. So it is also an observation method. And also another example might like that, in case of infant, a girl or child, say only 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 4 months or 4 weeks old, and that is the suffering with the problem. So either the mother or a person who is closely watching the infant can observe the problem. So this is the observation method. Now here in the observation method, the drawback is the person may have the bias in the recording or writing the result. So the next method, that is the improvement of this method, is that is called interview method. Interview method means one-to-one contact with the respondents. Now here is again, drawback is because the questions are different. We ask some question to one respondent, some question to other respondents. And second drawback, there is no record of the answer, but it's given. Generally, this method they used to conduct in the interviews. So after the selection, the finger raised, I have applied good answer, or that person was asked very simple question. So this is the second method. Now third method that is used to come, that is your questionnaire method, just like university examination pattern. Here you design your questionnaire on the basis of certain criteria. Then ask the same set of questions to all the respondents, right? So it is the questionnaire method, just like university examination. You have one sheet of question paper or another sheet of answer sheet. So this is questionnaire method. Now some person from social sciences may ask me, no sir, another method also, that is the schedule method. Schedule method is and questionnaire method both are same. The only thing is that in schedule method, only one sheet. The first, the question, then some space for the answer, just like OMR, or just like a form you are filling for getting admission or for getting a job. Name, then dash, date of birth, dash. So this is the schedule method, right? So whenever you go for the designing a questionnaire, now coming to the questionnaire part, when you're going to design a questionnaire, you keep few things in mind. The first part always must be that we used to call it socio-economic background of the respondent, name, age, religion, education, society status, employed, unemployed, family size, whatever you want, you put all the questions that socio-economic background. Second part must be always the questions related to your study. And these questions must be in, you start from beginning, that is simple question first, then little bit tedious in the last, and try to avoid ask certain questions that you also know that you will not get the proper answer. So try to put or avoid such type of questions, and you can ask some other questions to judge the or to get the proper answer. You ask any respondent how much you take that is bribe. Nobody give you correct answer. How much you that they have the income tax. Nobody will tell you. Do you smoke? You will not get answer. Do you have extramarital affairs? Nobody will tell you. Right? And third part, that you ask some additional questions which are not presently related to your study, but at the time of analysis part or maybe later stage, those questions can be added to your study or can be utilized for further study. We used to call it additional questions. You always put in the third, that is section, some additional questions. And fourth part, last one, that you, because you frame the questionnaire as per your knowledge, your wisdom, but sometimes many respondents are that they have more exposure than us. So fourth part must also ask them the suggestions, what they think about your study. Give them free hand, at least 2 to 3 questions. They can divide their question on, or they can give you the answer. And one more thing here also, after designing the questionnaire, deciding the sample size, deciding the sample methodology also, which sampling would like to use. Because sample based on some methodology. But because there are so many methodology out there, sample, whether it is simple random sampling, whether it is stratified sampling, whether it is cluster sampling, whether it is multi-stage sampling, whether it's systematic sampling. So after deciding this sampling methodology, and before going to your study on large scale, you first test your questionnaire and sample design and your sample methodology by doing a small survey. We used to call it a pilot survey. So whatever the difficulty you will face in the pilot survey, you come back to your office, modified your whole plan, whether it is sample size, whether it is the questionnaire, whether it is sample methodology, whether it is manpower, whatever you like. So you can modify your whole plan. So the pilot study is always must. Now, my time is also, I think, how much I time? 5 minutes or time is over?
Sir, you can take another 5 minutes.
Okay. Now, after collecting the information, means collecting the data, a major part start now. The first of all, immediately go for that is the what is the raw data. You go for the tabulation and compilation of the data. After tabulation and compilation, go for the classification of data. And from here, you want to quick result without any analysis part. You can draw your graphs, diagrams, and from diagrams, you can have some rough idea about your findings. You can easily find out the trend. You can make it easily out comparison. But what is exact is not, that only can assess through the actual statistical, that is your tools. Now again depends on your object of the survey. Because total that is the statistics is, if I say I discuss here, not only that first we go for the but the univariate. You want to interest in univariate that is study, that is the univariate analysis there. You would like to go for the that is the bivariate, that is bivariate there. You would like to go for the multivariate, then multivariate is there. But in all these, whether univariate or bivariate or multivariate, you must start always by that the basically from the elementary things that require for each and every study. We use in general that the term used to call it average, and for technical term that is we call that the mean, right? So we generally call here that the we have some value of the data that have the tendency to that is the have in the center. So we used to call this central tendency. So we can have the analysis of the central tendency part, that is mean, that will required for your further studies, for testing hypothesis, other thing. Now, next you go for that is the variability. How the center value means that the average value, it has a tendency to occur in the center part. Now, we hope so that all our values should that is the more or near to center value. Now, then we go for the that is the variability. Now, variability, that is the how the values differ from the center value in terms of the mean square. So that is the variability. So variability, another major factor in the all your this testing or hypothesis or the analysis part. And after that, you may start for the your bivariate analysis if you have the more than one variable. In case of more than two variables, you can go for the multivariate that is setup. And nowadays, I think most of the students in social sciences are using that is the multivariate, that is the techniques in analysis part. Whether they are from the sociology students, they are from psychology students, even they are from education, even they are from the management field, even the economics also, they are using the multivariate techniques in larger that is the large scale. So now these are the things. Now I end here, and you can ask me any question related to either my topic or an old subject statistics or beyond the subject also. I will not mind.
Thank you, sir, for your excellent deliberation. As you told rightly that it would have been even 7 days where in the classroom situation these issues are dealt with. But every such program has its own limitation. But within the stipulated time frame, you have shared excellently the fundamental aspects of what we call the research design, sampling, as well as the data analysis. Now, I was looking at the chat box. There are so many questions are already listed here. So if you allow, I'll just read a selective few out of that,
okay,
because there are series which which actually reflects on this Teachers' Day. Now the first one, this is by Dr. Oinam Singh. What is the appropriate way of determining the sample size when we have to make a comparative study of large country like India and small country like Sri Lanka by using sampling method? And this is the second one is also largely related to that. So let me club together so that you can take your, you can respond accordingly. The second one from Ravinder Arora, again writing about how to decide the sample size when we are having large population or we do not know the exact population size.
Now see, here there are two types of things here. The first is the whole sampling is based on the finite population, right? I have discussed the other question that the population size is not known. So that I reply later on. So come to the first part, whether it is the large sample, small sample, large country, small country, doesn't matter. So that should be a few things should be in mind. That I will tell you only two things only. The first thing that is your resources, and second thing is the variability. If you are determined to say like that, I need my precision level this much. My level of confidence is 95%. My level of confidence is 95%, means I am beyond that is the beyond my that type 1 is 5%. I will not go beyond that. I may go to down. So we fix our level of precision. So there is a formula is there. The moment you fix your precision or level of confidence, right, you will get the sample size. Or other way, if I say I have no problem with the resources, I have the lot of money is there, unlimited resources are with me, right? My simple question is that that in my mind, I have to tackle the variability. I have tackled the variability. In that case also, use the formula, you get the accurate sample size. You get the accurate sample size, right? Now, other things come to that is the second part, that is the when the size of the population size is not known, right? So if anyone sitting here statistics, say I take one example, that is the, how would I know that is the number of fish in a pond? I have instead of taking sample, I am interested in total number of fish in the pond. So in that case, we go for the inverse sampling, or sometimes we used to call it that is a, if I say if someone is from such background, we used to, that is a hypergeometric distribution. Or as a layman simply say, first say there is name is that the capture recapture method. By throwing a net in the pool, we assume we'll catch some fish, right? Then tag with some color or mark with some color these fishes, then again you put in the same pool. After some time, again go with the same process. In the second stage, you'll find few of the fishes you already marked with some color, maybe that your lot, and other maybe new one. So repeat this process, because all the mathematical based formula is there. So we used to call it capture recapture method. Yes, sir. Next question, sir.
So let me just take another questions, because there are so many, and I believe some of the questions will be taken care of somehow, must be reflected in another two by another two speakers. So let me just take the another one, and then we'll wind up this particular topic. Now somebody has Rabinder Aurora. Can we do random sampling if we are showcasing our survey to audience in online medium? So basically in online survey, how the question of random sampling, whether it is applicable or not.
In the beginning, I have described the four methods of data collection, that is the observational method, interview method, and third one that is the questionnaire, and fourth one that is the your schedule method, right? Now, these methods are described when there was no technology. Nowadays, one more method is also available. We used to call that the based on technology, whether it is the SMS, whether it is telephone, whether it is the email, whether it is the Google form, right? This method. Now, many students, they go for getting the information for this type. And you see, technically, if I say, for getting a, just you have a rough idea about the whatever you're doing, it's okay. But for getting the your correct information in terms of statistical sense, this method is not good. Because the first assumption is that we say the whatever the units in the population has the same facility. Now here you say some person have the internet, some person don't have the internet. What will you do? You are sending them your questionnaire through email. You are not getting the answer, right? So the part you can see you are following this, right? So now what is the problem you have taken? So if I decided I have sent the Google Sheet to 1,000 persons, right? This is my sample size, 1,000 persons. I get information on 600 only. Now what happened to the remaining 400? What to do? So we are not that is the mentioning key, what is the remaining, what happened. So for this purpose also in our statistics and the technique is also there. That problem is called non-response problem. Problem of non-response, right? So we cannot use random sampling. Simply you can say we cannot use random sampling.
So
one more thing, just Professor, for example, say
sir,
I am watching, say for example, Republic Bharat. If I am watching Republic Bharat, it means I have my liking to Republic Bharat. Now Republic Bharat put some questions on the that through SMS poll. I am giving my answer quickly. Other person who have the liking to the NETV, he only watching NETV and he asked certain question through SMS, through poll, phone number. He replied to that only. So answer is bias. Answer is bias. If I say I have conducted a survey based on the sampling, no, this is not proper sampling.
okay, thank you, sir. I mean, every good thing has to come to an end also. And I fully understand the stipulation of the time frame. But let me once again, on behalf of the IQAC cell of Rajiv Gandhi University, on behalf of the coordinator, let me thank you profusely for focusing some of the critical elements of what we perceived in terms of research design, sampling, and the data analysis, which forms the code of any kind of an research publication which you can think of. So, but looking at your expertise and deliberation, I think we'll be in touch with you, and there will be more other occasions where you have to share your further understanding on different other related issues which remains part of this research and publication as such. So thank you, Professor J.P. Singh Jurelji, and I am sure, as I told, we are collectively or individually, every one of us benefited out of your deliberation. Thank you, sir, so that I can move over to the next speaker of this 4 days program.
So thank you, Professor Sarit and Dr. Sambhu for today's overall this marriage is so, and my best wishes to for your this program, and I hope so after the normalcy we'll go for the organizing such type of function in the physical mode maybe in the next year.
Yes, sir. Sure. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir.
So let us straightaway go to our second speaker, Dr. Rajiv Pandey, and I'll request our coordinator and member of IQAC cell, Dr. Shambhu Prasad, to introduce our second speaker, Dr. Rajiv Pandey.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir, for giving me an opportunity to introduce our next renowned speaker, Dr. Rajiv Pandey. So, Pandey, sir?
Yeah, I am available.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Sir.
Thank you.
So, I welcome Dr. Rajiv Pandey, who is a scientist, e-scientist and head Division of Forestry Statistics, Indian Council of Forestry Research and Education, Dehradun. We are very happy and lucky to have Dr. Rajiv Pandey in our session. He has very vast experience of research, project, reviewing various journals, reviewer of various journals. He has got citations in ResearchGate, 852 citations, and H index 15 and I index 24. He has got number of publication in international journals and scores more than 60 and national level 53. Dr. Pandey worked as associate professor in HNB Garhwal University, Srinagar for 3 years and also served as additional director in Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, New Delhi. Over these years, he gained an insight into natural resource contribution to the communities as well as vulnerability and adaptation assessment of communities due to climate change. He also dedicated his time in learning and updating understanding about forestry interface for society and climate change, as well as teaching research methodology and forest society and climate change. Sir has been trained for doctoral research from Forest Research Institute, Dehradun, Uttarakhand. He has been awardee of Junior Research Fellowship during Master Program from Indian Council of Agriculture Research, New Delhi. Dr. Pandey is coordinating lead author for the chapter 8, Poverty, Livelihood and Sustainable Development of the Working Group 2 contribution to the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, 6th Assessment Report Climate Change 2021, Impact, Adaptations and Vulnerability. He is also a member of additional board for the journal Ecological Indicator and elsewhere publication, Impact Factor 4.49, and also a regular reviewer of multi-country project on global change for the Asia Pacific Network, Japan. Dr. Pandey is an outstanding reviewer, status for many journal of elsewhere, Springer, Ville, Sage, and Nature. Dr. Rajiv Pandey is currently working on several research project consortium amounting more than 100 million. A consortium project with IIT Roorkee and CEDAR Dehradun supported by MOWR Government of India on hydrogeological assessment and socio-economic implications of depleting water resources in tourist town of Uttarakhand is underway, focusing on evaluation of ward-wise water vulnerability of Nainital city with forest interface. Another consortium project supported by CMPA, MOEF and CC, Government of India is focusing of valuation of forest for GDP, green GDP and payment of ecosystem, goods and services with partner from all the 9 institute of is council. Another project on the ecosystem functioning and services of Himalaya temperate forest under anthropogenic change, a plant functional trait based evaluation as underway with financial support from NHMS, MOEF and CC with collaboration from ISEC Bengaluru and GB Pant National Institute of Himalayan Environment, Kosi Katarmal, Uttarakhand. The research on the issues have been figured in the form of paper in several national and international journals. In his publication diaries published 60 papers in international journals and 53 in Indian journals, and also participated in various national and international conferences in India as well as in abroad, and contributed 13 chapters in book in various edited books. Dr. Rajiv Pandey inclined to teach, supervise, and mentoring the students and scholars, beside also interest to conduct training, workshop, and conferences with strong motive of learning in a group. Sir, We are really very much thankful. Sorry. We are really very much thankful that you are ready to deliver a talk, and I welcome you wholeheartedly on behalf of IQAC Rajiv Gandhi University. Sir, I welcome you, sir.
So once again, welcome to Dr. Rajiv Pandey. I'm sure you're looking at your vast experience and engagement with multiple institutions of our country. Every one of us will be benefited out of your deliberation on the topic called research paper and developing papers. So keep that structure of 1 hour, if we can put it, maybe 40 to 45 minutes for your deliberation, and then we can take certain questions for response. So this floor is with you, sir.
Sir, thank you, sir. I am really thankful to you all and the Honorable Vice Chancellor, the IQAC team of the university, and the participants. I am really thankful to get this opportunity to learn from you all. Then in Indian system, I am my namaskar आप सभी लोगों को, और now I am sharing my slides so that we can start immediately. Sir. Is it shared now? Is it visible? Sambo, is it visible?
Yes.
So I will start. Sir, I wish to discuss something on the research papers and developing tables with the outline that I will be talking in one slide research, and then some important and hidden dimensions leading to the ethics, plagiarism, causation, and fallacies of the research. Then reporting and tables reporting also, but I will be only touching. I am not going to detailing these all. The only purpose is that my whole efforts is that we should write, and that's why the whole purpose of the presentation is the signifying the communication of research. With this, if you look at to the research, it is basically we are doing research to obtaining and confirming new and reliable knowledge based on the process that is planned and managed, as my teacher Jurel sir was also discussing in between also. And it should be creative and leading towards, it should be circular in such a manner that it should lead towards some new questions. So why I am flagging this as in the research paper also, sometime we should write some new questions which is going to be answered based on our research. The point is that in research we are not searching the truth of anything. So it can be new, it can be reliable, but it should not be new. We should not claim that it is true. So based on this particular things, the research consideration basically as my own experience, that we must signify, we must elaborate that after all, who are the stakeholders, who are the person who is going to really use our research, and what is its intending purpose to using this research. It makes the whole story, and it appeals to other to read and to use it. That's why it is very, very important. And if you look at Jurel sir was repeatedly talking something on the research resources, and it is not limited only to the deciding the sample size, rather it is always linked with our research in a whole. The very important concern nowadays, the ethical consideration, it was since time immemorial, but nowadays it has something more. And since sometime we are dealing with the social science of data, then the informed consent and the data confidentiality is also very, very essentially required, which has to be has a place in our paper. With this, I am simply taking the ethics in the research. It is basically we are trying to have a balance with the protecting the participants' information and the quest for knowledge. So this is this delicate balance we have to maintain through informed consent of the participants, following standard ethical standards, and anonymity and confidential having confidential the information which we have retrieved from the participants. It is ethically required, and sometimes some generally is also asking evidence of it once we are dealing with the human subjects. So the simple thing is that we should follow the ethical guidelines, in which we should take care of the information which we derive from the participants, that should not go in public. Rather, it should be strictly used by the researcher for their research purposes. Then I am directly coming to the plagiarism. No need to discuss with you all, but my whole intention to put this particular one, that sometime we are citing also, but still it comes to the plagiarism content. So the whole purpose of putting this topic in my presentation was this. And the second, which I was very particular, once I interacted with the variety of the researchers, including me and my students, the main cause that why we do the plagiarize, we have to address it. And the simple logic why we do plagiarize is that sometime we are lazy, we are not having time, but we have to publish, we are under pressure, and sometimes we are having low knowledge also. So I will also flag one particular slides that how we can really avoid these plagiarized materials. If you look into the types of plagiarism, the simplest is that we are getting some information from someone and we are not citing it. So basically what we are doing, we are taking the assets from others and we are not saying potentially that it is from others. We are rather claiming that it is mine. So if we are not citing, it is the clear-cut case of the plagiarism. You can name it by any way, whether it is ghostwriter, photocopying, to the self-stealer. The main concern is that once we are citing also, but still it comes into the plagiarized item. The main things is that once we are not writing the sources in all right form, correct form, basically we are doing plagiarism. So my only point is that once we are citing the source, we are referencing the source, we should be very, very meticulous while putting the exact information along with the sources from where we can get. The second thing is that once we are taking the whole verbatim, and if we are not putting the quotation, it is again going to be a plagiarism. So if we are having the quotation, the verbatim, the full verbatim, we put it under the inverted comma, and we should also put it the page number from where we have cited it. This is a simple thing which we have to do to avoid the plagiarism. If we are sure we are citing, we are referring it. The plagiarism, how we can avoid? Very simple. It is the acknowledging the author's original work. If you have done, and if I am writing, I must put it the site to you, and I must say that it is from the others person's work, named at this is, it is not mine. The simply we should be honest that we are, but still sometimes due to the pressure of time and other things, we are unfortunately or unknowingly doing this. My humble request is that once we are not sure, we should not go ahead. Science does not allow these all things. So this is the plagiarism which I was willing to request to you all, to me also, and the own experience material, the own observation, compiling the results of original research, and the common knowledge should not be cited. Now if we have addressed the plagiarism part, the ethical consideration, some work has been completed to write the research papers, to communicate, to talk to the other researchers across the globe. Now, in the second session of this particular presentation, I will be interested to talk some terms which generally we use, and to me also sometimes I was also confused once I learned. Then I knew that this is the meaning of this particular term. So I am simply flagging it. The statement is a statement can be just either true or false, but not both. So if we are saying that we have put a statement in any paper, the simple meaning is that the statement is either true or false, and negation of the statement, if we have put it something that this is my statement, and if my research is ultimately proving that it is not the things which I told earlier, so we are negating the statement. So these two things is important as far as the statement is concerned. Then deduction and induction. Deducting reasoning, basically reasoning, this deduction reasoning is very useful for the selection of the parameters, also selection of the theoretical frameworks also. And this reasoning is basically evolved by the two ways. This is a deducting reasoning, start with the general premises assumptions and moves to the specific conclusion. We can say that it is from the general to the specific. A very simple example, climate in the Himalayas is basically cool. So we can conclude that the cities such as the Sikkim, such as Dehradun is a cool city. So basically what we are doing from a larger perspective of the whole Himalayas, we are talking to a single city. So it is the deduction. The induction is the opposite of it. We are basically putting some specific things and we are trying to generalize. So based on our research, our question which we wish to answer, we are using this, and sometimes we are using both also, depending on the nature of the demand of our research. So these two are very generally we are using in our science. We have to only adjust that which particular way we are deriving the parameters and what theoretical construct we are going to make, and for that what sort of the reasoning we are using. The third point, which is very important, is the correlation and causation. The correlation is very simple. It is the simple relationship, linear relationship between the two interdependent sort of variables. So I again repeat, it measures only the linear relationship. That means if we are not finding the correlation significant, we should not conclude that there is no relationship between the two variables. We can say that there is no linear relationship between the two variables. The nature of the variables should be in the interdependent sort of nature. That means one is affecting the others and other is affecting to the first one. So if this sort of the relationship is, if this sort of the variable is existing, we are comfortable to use the correlation. Otherwise, if there is one variable is depending on the other, we are shifting towards the regression, and in that sense we can say that the causation is existing. But in sometimes in the human social sciences, this causation sometimes is not being established. So we have to really look at that, what could be the ways by which we can see that there is cause relationship is existing. So there is no direct methods which can define the cause elements, but there are ways and means by which we can judge that these two variables whatsoever we are having, whether they are related or not. So this is basically based on the three reasoning. Alternate reasoning we are calling, the second is the inverse causality, and the third is the mutual independence. So we are trying to prove if this is there, then there is no causation. I am not saying that if this is there, then causation. This analogy is not existing. Rather, there are three ways by which we can say that the whatsoever the variable we are having that are not related in the fashion of, or they are not having a cause and effect relationship. So simplistic things is that if there is an alternate reason Z for a variable which is having a cause and effect relation, that is we are terming it as X and Y, and if the third variable is impacting both, influencing both, that means the X and Y is not having a causation sort of relationship. Inverse causality is that if we have planned that X is causing Y, but instead once theory you are looking Y is influencing on X, then we can refute that X is not influencing Y. So causation is not possible in that case. Then third is the mutual independence. If X and Y might be just correlated, if they are correlated, then also there is no causation. So these three negation can provide certain evidence that you can think that whatsoever the variable you are having in terms of X and Y are two parameters, these two can be treated as that they are not having the cause and effect relationship. Then you have to think another dimensions for that. So the simple example that the people get more matured after having kids. This is the hypothesis. Now we have to look at that is having kids a cause of attaining higher maturity level? If this is the logic which we are posing, we have basically indirectly says that there is a cause and there is effect. Cause is that we are having the kids. Having kids is a cause to be matured. Now we have to fit it in the logic which I was just discussing. We are putting the inverse causality. For instance, only mature people are likely to be prepared to have the kids. That means, so inverse causality, if you look at the last slide, I told that instead of X influencing Y, if there is chance that Y is influencing X, then there is no causation. Based on that, we can say that this thing is not having the cause and effect relationship. We can also apply the alternate reasoning with undergoing cause as age. As the third factor, age is related to having the related to the to have the kids and have the maturity level. So if these two things is fulfilling for a particular hypothesis, we can say that this is not having at least cause and effect relationship. There might be other relationship existing. That is again a search of a issue of search. With this, I am coming to the research fallacies. The research fallacies is basically the argument we are providing for our results. And if there is something wrong or if there is defect, then it weakens our argument. So I am talking to that perspective. And in journalistic terminologies, we can say that a fallacy is an error in reasoning, usually based on the mistaken assumptions. So there are a number of research fallacies in the literature that has been written, but I am discussing only 4 or 5 over here. The simplest fallacy is the hasty generalization. Just now you were listening the sampling case. If you are not defined, if you are not addressed the variability of the population in totality, and you got a sample, and based on the sample, if you had results, and if you wish to generalize it for the whole population, probably we have done a mistake, as we have not included all sort of variability, whether it in terms of the cross section, in terms of the temporal, in terms of the quality, in terms of the development. In any perspective, if we are not counted all sort of the variability while considering the samples, whatsoever the generalization based on the data collection of part of the sample that is not a true representative of the population, our result is going to be wrong, and that we called as the hasty generalization. Second, this is the very important post hoc we call fallacies, that is the false cause. In a sequential manner, sometime because B comes after A, in some time we say that A caused B. The simple example, probably some of you might have heard that in the last report of the forest cover of India, there is a agency that is known as the Forest Survey of India. It is publishing the forest cover of the India in every 2 years. The last year it was suddenly observed that the forest in the Jharkhand has been increased from the last years, and suddenly it was also observed that there is extremist activity is also going high. So if we are going to conclude that Jharkhand is a sensitive state for the extremist activities and has been increasing during the last few years, and the increase in forest cover is to higher extremist activities in the Jharkhand. If this sort of things we are concluding in our research, based on our result, by giving certain arguments, this argument is again wrong, and this really weaken the probability and the possibilities of the publication of our quality papers. So if you ask me to avoiding of the research the hasty generalization, I would only suggest that you take true representative samples. If you ask me for the post hoc fallacies avoidance, or there should not be any post hoc fallacies, I will simply say that try to understand the mechanism of your results in the light of the theory, and also try to supplement your expertise knowledge based on your field observations. Simply running towards any particular things may be suicidal in the research, and it will undermine our whole efforts as far as the knowledge sharing in form of the quality paper is concerned. Third is the false dichotomy. We are having only two possibilities for any results. We are though there is possibilities of several others other possibilities, others argument, but yes, we are only going to talk about the two things, either this or that. In that case, we are basically leading towards the false dichotomy. The simple example is that in our university or in our any particular place, we are having a hall that is in the bad shape. So what we can do with the bad shape? The simple solution is that we should tear down the building and get up a new building. However, there is a logic. If we are having a students class in that, what we can do rather than the tearing of the buildings, we can go for the renovation. Number one, we can shift our bias from that place to the other. So there is some other opportunities, other criteria also existing in between. If we are not considering that, and if we are simply jumping the two sides of the one coin, then probably we are again arguing in the wrong manner, and this undermine our efforts. The fourth and fifth is also very important. It is simply a matter of the English language and sometimes the cleverness of the researcher, that we call as equivocation. Let me come directly to the example. The simplest example is that giving money to charity is the right things to do. So charity has the right to our money. See how beautifully sentence has been framed, but the meaning of the right has been changed over here. So if this sort of things, as a non-English speaking fellow from the non-speaking country, we do this sort of things. The simple avoidance of this is possible if we read our paper and we try to understand that what we have written. If this we can address, probably we will be in safer zone. So this we call as equivocation, as we are using the same words, but the meaning is changed with respect to the sentence. We can avoid this simply by having readings of our papers more than one times, maybe 5 times, maybe 7 times. Then the third one is the circular reasoning. What we do, I realize this while writing my papers also. Sometimes while writing something, thinking with the thought that we will write something more and probably it will strengthen my argument, we write something which is not desired. So there is no government like no government. So once you have written that there is no government, it suffices the purposes. So there is no need to write like no government. As simply I have written, there is a country like India. So the reviewer has commented, there is no country other than India who is like an India. So this sort of circular reasoning, if we are posing, or if this sort of things we are doing, probably the reviewer is getting confused, and then they are going to write something very unwanted comments on our paper, and that is again putting us into the tremendous pressure, and we have to address that particular one. So my simple meaning is that with the flagging the fallacies and the causation is that while arguing, we should be very, very tactful and very, very particular, so that there should not come into any fallacies, nor there is any causation sort of problem is going to be treated as the correlation or vice versa. So these things I am trying to simply flag, that whenever we are writing, we should take care of it. It is very simple thing. It does not demand hard work also. Now I am coming to the reporting. Why I put this section, I am sorry if some of you may not agree to this, but while having an interaction with my students, the students of several universities where I have talked, I have given a lecture, as well as my own observations, I may be biased one also. I am sorry for that. But the simple things which I learned out of my writings and the discussion with the peers, like the PhD scholars, the master students, the researchers, the scientists, the academicians, the professors. Based on that, what I could perceive that quality writing, the paper is only possible if you have conducted research. I did not put it any adjective that you have conducted quality research. I mean research means research. It is honest, it is the quality one. But the simple thing which I learned as way back in, I am serving from last 22 years, but I have started writing in International Journal in 2011. So only thing is that it was possible once I developed interest to write. How it is developing, it is the individual's matter. But once I have developed an interest to write, I started writing. I had a faith that whatsoever the research I have done, it can be published. And I was also having a faith that yes, I have tried, let it be published, and I was honest also. And then the things which is very important, and this is no need to mention that we all are doing that. We are following the content of the paper, we are following the standard protocol, we are following the systematic ways, systematic flow of the information for the paper, and the general in which we are trying to publish our paper. So this is very simple content. My only concern is that we should have faith on ourselves. We should really have an interest to write. These two things is possible. This is sufficient to make us mad to write the paper. And without madness, writing papers for the early researcher is really very, very difficult task. The other things, being a non-English speaking people, the things is the English language. But later on, I realized that if our paper or paper of anybody is having content, information, the reviewer, the editor wants that this paper should come into their journal. So English language, though it is very, very important, but it does not restrict you publishing quality papers. And then the reporting to the actual finding, I mean that we should be reporting the actual findings and with the support of the right logic, right arguments. So this is the there, and then the argument should be consistent. Otherwise, it may come into the circular reasoning concept, and let it flow natural. So this sort of things, if we are doing what I have done, I am sharing my own experience, may not be suited to some of you, but by this way, I really find myself a very comfortable zone. And whenever I am reviewing also, most of the time I find I am reviewing the papers, and then I found that especially the non-speaking country fellows are doing these all things, and by that way others reviewers are also agreeing with their information, and it is having a high probability of acceptance for the publication. With this background, I am coming to the reporting of the table, and I think that I am on time also. With this reporting of the table, I am only going to talk for the 4 things, and probably it will suffice the many of your research. That I will be discussing that how we should really and what we should really depict in our tables for defining the descriptive statistics for any particular phenomena. How we should really talk something about the correlation, and how we should make our table for the testing and ANOVA, and what about the principal component analysis. With this particular one, I am simply trying to describe a table based on the generally descriptive statistics which has been estimated for the 2 variables. Here I am writing the 2 variables. You can take any variable as per your choice, as per demand of your research. For me, it is the sesame soil organic carbon. You can put it as the age. You can put it over here as the income instead of the eucalyptus SOC, or you can put it here over the total available nitrogen or total available potash. No problem. You can put it over here the heartbeat, and here you can put it the mass of the people. No problem. But this analysis is with the consideration that you have taken the sample
Okay, there may be some problem in relation to connectivity. Let us just wait. We hope that it will be connected soon. You can call over phone. So I'm requesting all to wait just for a moment. I mean, it will be connected soon.
Okay, okay.
Okay, sir.
I am really sorry. Sometime unwanted incidents happen. Suddenly, the electric supply has failed. So simple meaning is that once we are having the data, that is the we have taken the two samples and we are having the parameters what we can get from the any statistical package, whether it is the SPSS or if you want to use, you can use Excel or any package whatsoever you want. So you are getting in one go many things: mean, median, mode, standard error, standard deviation, sample variance, kurtosis, maximum, minimum, sum, count, whatsoever you want, you are getting it. And sometimes I feel that we are reporting the whole table in our research paper. No, it is not required. It is not required. Many of the information which is given over here that can be retrieved based on the other information which is already in the table. Say for a moment, if the same table, if I am going to produce over the next way, and if I am going to remove the sum and sum, no problem. As if I am having the number, simply I will multiply by the mean, I will get the sum. If I have already derived the mean and the standard error, then there is no need of the standard deviation and the sample variance. Where standard deviation is the under root of the variance, number one, and the standard error is the better measure than the standard deviation, and the simply it is being measured by the dividing of the root of the number of observation. And standard error is a better measure. That for if time permits, I will discuss the difference between the standard error and the standard deviation. And once our data is okay with the mean, then there is no need to use the another measure of central tendency, that is the median. And the same way, if we are at all not required to note the status of the data distribution in terms of the normality, until unless you are not feeling, there is no need to report the kurtosis and the skewness. So in simple way, if I say, if you are putting this way the table, the whole information, probably most of this information is going to be solved. If I am putting the mean and max, probably the difference of this, we are getting the range. If you are putting the mean, that is suffice the central value of the data. Mean is the simple measure which say that what is the central point of your data, and the SC simply depict that what is the distance of other data from the mean. That is the simple meaning of the SC. Till now you can understand as a layman. As far as the kurtosis and skewness is concerned, until unless there is no demand, by any means, you should not report. But if you are reporting also, then also it is not a problem. The other aspect is that if you are interested to the quartile. Quartile is basically you are trying to divide your whole data set into 4 equal parts. So what I have done, my data is ranging from the x smallest value to x largest value, and I am dividing this into the 4 equal parts. So one is this, second is this, third is this, and fourth is this. So this
Yes, again, some problem. This happens in such a webinar. So I'll request all our participants just to have some patience.
Sir, good afternoon. I am Dr. Sanjeev Mahanti. I am able to Sir, I am Dr. Sanjit Mahanti. Sir, I am unable to fill the feedback form last 3 days. How can I submit the feedback form? Is it comes through email?
Okay, I'm passing over to the coordinator. He will suggest you. Just hold on.
Sir, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Sir, can I speak, sir?
Yes, yes.
Sir, my name is Dr. Sheikh Karim.
Okay.
Hello.
Yes.
Sir,
please.
actually the presentation of the sir is excellent, sir. Excellent presentation, PPT, sir, which is giving live examples. So I am also a statistician. Hello, sir. It's a humble request. If the PPTs can be shared, it will be very useful when we will be teaching to our students. Some examples sir has given very good examples, sir. Will be very helpful to us, sir.
Okay, I'll talk to the coordinator. I think they can share it with the participant.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Sir has given some live examples, CSHAM and others.
Achha,
So
sir
good
is
examples.
Sir is already back. So let us back to Pandey, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
I am really sorry. Sometimes situation is.
Sir, please continue. It's okay. I mean, this happens.
I was discussing that if you are having the data and 4 equal parts in terms of the data, I am showing the distance here, but it is basically the data value. So this Q1 is known as the quartile 1, and this is the quartile 3, and median is the quartile 2. And if you are really doing the research in terms of the exploratory analysis, I would suggest you to include this while writing paper. In any paper, if you are really intended to write some exploratory sort of information you are trying to provide, please provide the box plot. This is the best way to provide the whole information about your data. And if you are having more number of variables, provide a box plot like this. And simply looking this, I can understand that what sort of data you are having, what is the minimum values, what is the maximum value, what is the mean, what is the first quartile, what is the second quartile, what is the median, what is the what sort of distribution it is having. We can really see this is a bit more in middle part. This is shifting. This has shifted below. This is shifted up above. And if this is shifting below, that means larger values, number of values are more towards this side. If it is shifting toward that side, that means the value is lying toward that side. This sort of information can be retrieved from the box plot. And if you are reporting box plot, the figure is having great value, great importance across the literature, across the subject, and you are going to signify good information. So this is for the descriptive statistics as well as the box plot. I am not giving the example in the state example. Now I am again talking something which is having the 4 sort of variables. In your particular subject, you have measured the 4 sort of variables. Say for a moment, for the players, you are measuring their stamina, you are measuring their behavior, you are measuring their capacity to stay in the field, you are measuring their mental strength. The 4 part, you have 4 variable you have measured, and you want to depict it in the graph. And you have measured 1,000 players. See how simply you can plot and how simply you can derive the information. Just have a glance of it. The first variable I am putting at a straight line, and I am depicting the value for the first player. I am calling it as a variable is, not sepal length. It is the iris example. That's why I put it. The second variable I am putting up to this. This is we are calling as a variable B, and exactly it is sepal B. And the same data, the data for this variable for the same subject I am putting over here. Same way for the third variable and for the fourth variable we are doing. So for one particular subject, we have straight way defined the values, and this is the 4 variable. Now I am having thousands number of persons across the country who are playing the cricket, and we want to derive some sort of information out of it. Look at the data. See how many number of subjects I am having and what good information you are retrieving. A, you are having the high value of parameter. For the higher value of parameter A, you are having the lower value. And for the lower value of parameter A, you are having the lower value of parameter C and D. This sort of inference you can draw from this very complicated sort of samples and in very easy way. So that is called as the iris example, and we can say that the parallel coordination methods of representing your data for number of variables, maybe 2, maybe 5, maybe 10, whatsoever you can think, you can do that. But you have to really look at that. If you are putting the 10 number of variables, whether or not it is going to be useful and properly, efficiently depicting the information what you intend to put up to the knowledge society, to the between the academic fraternity or the policymakers also. Correlation, it's very simple. Correlation is simple measure, linear measure of relationship. First, you just put this in your mind that it measures the linear relationship. And this means, why I am stressing, this means that if you are not getting the significant correlation, don't conclude ever that your 2 variables are not related. You can't conclude it. It is wrong. And whenever you are really measuring the estimating the correlation, please provide information into only the diagonal form. Keep this as a free one, as a vacant one. No need to write the values. Repetition of values is also bad in the research, in writing the papers. So testing of the testing of hypothesis, I am directly coming to the 2 sample t-test. One sample t-test you can derive by yourself. Say I am having one parameter, I am taking at land resources. So what I have done, I have collected the information of land resources from the farmers who are having agroforestry and the farmers who are not having agroforestry. Agroforestry means we are growing tree at the farms, and we have, based on the 20 number of farmers or 25 number of farmers, we have estimated the value like for mean of the farmers who are not having the agroforestry and the mean who are having the agroforestry. The same way we have calculated the standard error for the data set, and based on these two, we have got the value of the t. So we are having the mean value of the two situation, the standard error of the two situation, and the t value and the significant label. So this suffices the whole information which you intend to produce in your paper. If you don't want to report this, you can put it here plus and minus SC. So here you can have only one column, mean plus minus standard error, and the second t-test. So, and if you are having more number of variables, you can depict like this. This will save the time also, and it is very clear and very simple to understand. So whenever you are doing the sample test, and if you wish to report the table, please use this sort of format. This is easy, taking less time, less space, and the best thing is that it is easy to understand. The ANOVA table, again, I am not talking when you should use the ANOVA, but I can consider that you all are knowing it, that we are having the several number of sources which is causing the variation in our parameter which we intend to measure based on the certain treatments. So here I am having the 3 parameters, and I am having the sources as the year, treatment, and their interaction and total, and I am producing this whole table into this way. And below to this, I am showing this whole table in a single table without putting more things, and rather reducing many things and putting our table in very concise, very clear-cut message. We are driving out of it, and this information is sufficient to produce your results. So we are putting source of variation, degree of freedom, all for this year and this year here. These all source of variations are same, degree of freedom are same. So we have combined this. And instead of putting other things, we are simply putting F and P, and we are getting it. And we are highlighting the significant value, PP, where we are put at 0.05, and here we are highlighting it. And based on that, any reviewer, any person, anyone, your friend also, myself also, other person also, as a layman also, who are knowing a bit information about, bit knowledge about the ANOVA, they can understand what this table intend for. And this is a more scientific than this one. And being in research, we should be always in search of, or the in quest of the knowledge, and this is the best way to represent the ANOVA table. Third, which is the factor analysis, I simply mean to say, once you are reporting the results of the factor analysis, write factor 1 and factor 2 which you are deriving from your data set based on your results. Here is your values. Below the table, in the last column, you report the percentage of the variation explained for these two factors, and below to that, you write the eigenvalue. You can write eigenvalue above to this also, no problem. And here you should also name the factor. Factor 1 and factor 2 is having no meaning in the research unless you are not producing a name to that. The name can be written by the researcher himself, as he is the only expert who can write it. And believe me, if you try, you will write it. Numbers of time I have practiced this for the many other cases, ranging from the medical sciences to the social sciences to the psychology to the biological sciences. I myself could have been written it, though I don't have the basic knowledge of the subject. But if I can write, I believe that you all are expert of your subject, you can write it. The only concern is that you have to put it your efforts on that. So I believe that you are knowing a bit of the factor analysis, and you are capable to do the factor analysis. The simple way to represent your whole analysis is this way, and this suffices the purpose to understand what you intend to get out of the factor analysis. I can say that your factor 1 is, which is the demographic and economic resources. This is explaining 77% of variability present in the system. Factor 2 is basically land resources. This is representing 20% variability in the system. And how I can say that it is land resources, as the variable contributing to this particular factor is basically belongs to the agriculture area and arable area. These two areas is basically land resources. I can say the farm area also. The other name can be farmland. So any name is possible. And here, if you look at here, basically we are talking something on the cattle stock, rural population. So we are putting as demographic, and agriculture, GDP, cereal production, and GDP are the part of economic resources we named as the demographic and economic resources. So this table suffice all sort of information which is required for a factor analysis, and it is very simple, in very simple way, and there should not be any confusion to any reader. So that is the best way to report the factor analysis as far as I know. Probably some new development may come, but I have not gone to that level till now. So the last thing which I very frankly request to you all, whenever you are trying to put this sort of information, please believe me, the reviewer is going to put a very strong comment on it. Please don't do. It is my humble request to you all. Once we are trying that, we are doing something wonderful by putting some complexities. Believe me, it is going to reduce your publication probability. Being simple is always better to provide the information which you intend to provide to the researchers. The ethical consideration for the measurements and the analysis, which I always request to our whole research scholars, the whole researchers, that we should always dare to inform the good and bad. Rather, if you ask me, I never define what is good and what is bad. All results are results. Let the other people say that it is bad or good. For me as a researcher, every result is good, and every result is going to have some useful presentation. And the second thing is that we should present our whole data in fair, objective, and neutral manner. This is essentially required, and every researchers nowadays, every reviewer, every editors are looking towards that, whether how much fair and neutral we are as far as our result is concerned. Should not use the inappropriate summary measures, which I was talking earlier with the descriptive tables whatsoever I was mentioning. Please avoid and do as report only those things which is really important. So with this, the main things which I want to hammer everything look like a nail. I mean to say, for the statistical method, it is your understanding is hammer. You throw, you hit it, it will produce the results. The logic and the results is basically should come from you. So don't do this. Methods are model, do not provide answers, but help us to gain insight. This is the fundamental things with the statistics. Please note it down. Your research, your understanding is more important than the statistics. And the last, which I want to say for the reporting the quality papers, which I learned from my own experience, that be honest, be simple, accept the truth, and follow the scientific guidelines. With this all, my humble submission to you all, this presentation whatsoever I am producing, that is also considered collected from the various sources, and unfortunately I could not put it the name. So please treat it as only the discussion material with you all people. That is all from my side. Thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Rajiv Pandey ji. This was an excellent deliberation in relation to the writing of a good paper, and largely you have tried to explain the qualitative domain, what need to be done in terms of various statistical techniques, which actually leads to the quality publications. If I look at the chat box, I am seeing a lot of people who are participating. They are very much interested to have your PPTs, and which they feel they can share it with their students in the classroom situation also. And some of the comments are basically in relation to getting the feedback link. But if anyone is having any specific question, I can take just one. Otherwise, I am not right now not seeing in the chat box. If any one of you are interested, can have a question which we can discuss and can take the response from our speaker. Any one of you? Okay, then.
Professor, good evening, Professor. Just
yes.
I want to.
Please.
Professor, I want to ask one thing.
Right.
So everything is fine, Professor, but as far as a young researcher concerned, so what should be their daily routine, Professor? How they have to work towards preparing a quality these things and all? Because from your perspective, Professor, please share ideas or strategies or daily routine tips, something less. Otherwise, excellent presentation, Professor. Please, Professor. Thank you.
Okay, I am passing over to Pandeyji, but to my understanding as a moderator, I don't think there can be a kind of an routine or prescribed formulation for the everyday's engagement. It depends on individual scholar, the way they want to spend time, depends on what once Pandey sir talked about, the issue of madness. The ultimate result or the research, quality research is only possible if you are really passionate I mean, that is in the sense of what we perceived as a kind of a madness for research. But still, I leave it to sir to respond, please.
Sir, thank you. This is a really good question, and this suffices all things. My only thinking on that line, since I am also struggling from last 10 years for this particular things, what I think that don't expect any results, keep on working. If this mantra, if you have developed, uh, you will keep on publishing. There is no problem. No one can stop you. Don't think that it will put it you on some top. People will recognize you. Don't think everything will come later on. And this is the practical experience which I have. And in spite of many hurdles, once you will keep on writing, once you will keep on doing good research, people can't stop you. Number one. Number two, I saw something, the self-plagiarism. Yes, self-plagiarism is very, very typical things. If I have written something earlier and it has been published, and if I am quoting something from that, it should be reported profusely in our next papers also. And salami publications, yes, it is also things that we have conducted a good amount of research, but partly we are publishing. Only it can be avoided if we are a bit more ethical. Sometime I have also done this particular things, but later on I realized that it is wrong. So the only thing is that whatsoever you are going to do, you are only responsible for these sort of publications. So be honest to that. That is all which can be accepted. And as far as the PhD research scholar is concerned, my main challenge is that how you can motivate, whether we can motivate through the something by the giving some lust to them, some greed to them, or some bad behavior or motivation. Anyway, whatsoever the things is possible, we should try to motivate them as they are the real assets. As far as the young researchers like you all is concerned, my only thing is that please keep writing. It is urgently required. Once we are sitting in the international bodies, international meetings, we people, the information from India is, as far empirical analysis is concerned, it is very, very low. Whatsoever is available, it is not up to mark. And most of the time, I'm not saying that it is 100% true. Please keep writing. It is urgently required to make our status across the globe that we are really intelligent and hardworking people. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Let us end up here. I know that slightly there are some more questions are also coming, which we can pass over. Even some of the participants are looking for your mail ID so that they can communicate with you. We'll definitely coordinators, I'll request to facilitate that. Now with this, once again, thanks sir for sharing many of the critical elements which actually can lead to what we call the quality publications, which we are individually, collectively, we are looking for. And I hope that in future, other occasions also, you will be available with us for sharing your vast experiences in terms of publication and being part of many important journals. I mean, basically the review, as a reviewers. Thank you, sir. And with this, let us come to our last speaker in this.
Sir, should I speak one line?
Yes.
Sir, I will share my presentation to Sambhu Saab, and my thanks to you all researchers. It is a great opportunity to learn from you all. I am really thankful. And sir, am I permitted to attend the class of the sir?
Yeah, it's always welcome.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
So let us come to our last speaker, Dr. Ajit Kumar Misro, and I'll request our coordinator, Dr. Shambhu Prasad, to introduce our last and final speaker of this day.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for giving me this opportunity to introduce our speaker, renowned speaker, Dr. Ajit Kumar Mishra. Dr. Ajit Kumar Mishra holds a doctorate degree in African American Studies from Banaras Hindu University, Varanasi. He is currently working as an associate professor in the Department of Humanistic Studies at Indian Institute of Technology, BHU, Varanasi. His research interests include narrative studies, including visual culture, research communication, and humanistic communication. He has been an institutional and corporate trainer in areas of research communication, management communication, and health communication. He finds it thoroughly enjoyable when he is interacting and learning from the multitude. He has conducted scores of technical sessions on research writing, pedagogical strategies, and research communication in FDPs, STCs, and workshop. He has been active in his mission of literature for humanity for quite some time now. He has designed courses like literature and coping skills, literature and designing thinking, and leadership through literature to guide esteemed student into the world of literary experience and effective knowing. Sir, with these words, I thank you that you are accepted our invitation and ready to deliver lecture. So I welcome you once again, sir. Welcome you on behalf of IQSC, Rajiv Gandhi University, and my personal behalf. Sir, over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Shambhu. Before I start, just a quick check with you.
So just for an information, let us keep that same frame. So for the time frame is concerned, if you can speak about 40 to 45 minutes,
exactly,
and then we can have
that.
some final discussion. Okay,
definitely.
Please.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Before I start, let me check with the organizers, the moderator of this session, for the audio quality. Is it okay? Do I sound clear?
You are perfectly audible, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. So good evening, ladies and gentlemen, everyone at Rajiv Gandhi University, Arunachal Pradesh, and all the participants. I can see a large number of participants out there, so it's wonderful to be with you on this occasion. And thank you, Professor Rajiv Pandey, for your kind words. And as you also wish to attend this session, so that will also lead to some fruitful discussion between us. This is the fourth day, and as you know, I've been looking at the schedule. I've been following the schedule, in fact, for quite some time now. I can see that you must have learned a whole lot of things. I mean, it's so diverse and so rich that by now you have either refreshed your capabilities, or you might have grasped a good idea of how research paper writing needs to be done, so that it is accepted in quality research journals, and especially high impact factor journals, and it receives a whole lot of citations. So as you I know that I've been doing research writing for quite some time. I've also designed a course for my PhD students, our PhD students at IIT BHU. This course is called Research Communication. So that focuses on both aspects of research communication, writing, oral presentation, and making it palatable for non-expert readers or audience. Anyway, so the whole plan for this session, I mean, we are meeting again tomorrow. So the whole plan for this particular session is to introduce you to the world of, certain building blocks, because without those things, it may be difficult for you to start writing. I could hear Professor Rajiv Pandey, repeatedly asking you to write and write and write. That's very not learn it. So you cannot say that I'll just wait for the right moment. When I learn writing, I'll start writing. So in order to learn writing, you need to start writing. So that's the plan for this session. So we'll talk about a few building blocks. I don't exactly know how much of the content I'll be able to take care of during this session. but then I'll try my best. I can tell you that the content that I have brought for you can easily be taken up in a whole day workshop. So anyway, I'll try my best to introduce you to the world of research writing through these things. So please allow me a few seconds so that I can share my screen with you, and then we'll start. Just a few seconds before the slideshow begins. Yes, I think the screen is visible to you all now. Dr. Shambhu, please.
Yes, it is clearly visible, sir.
All right, so thank you for confirming that. So before we start with this particular thing, let me take you to the whole idea of it. In order to understand how the process of research writing goes on, how it is arrived at, we need to adopt a reverse approach. So the macro to the micro approach. Most often when we have a research paper right in front of us, in our hands, or in a journal, so what do we get to see? We get to see a finished product. I mean, a complete research paper that has been written, that has been reviewed, that has been revised, that has been accepted and published. So that's exactly what we get to see right in front of us. That's the finished product, and most often we are amazed by the quality that it has been able to maintain. And that leads to a lot of problems as well, because that poses lots of challenges to young researchers who think that, shall I ever be able to write in this manner? It's so perfect. It looks so compact. So how do you do that? I mean, if we continue to adopt this kind of approach to finished research articles, it will be very, very difficult for us to understand the entire process. So before we can begin the process of writing, it's important that we know the writing process. So it's all about knowing the writing process in order to become, capable of making the process of writing competent. Okay, so what do you find in a research article? These are the things that you find in a research article, and some other research persons must have talked about these things. So you come across introduction, methodology, discussion, and a few other sections as well. So, I mean, that is how we can break a research article into fragments. It always helps, okay? The strategy to break a research article into fragments. If you try to understand the research article as a whole, then it will be difficult for you. So try to break it into different parts. Introduction, methodology, discussion, and a few other things. We'll come to that graphically. And then when we come down, what we see, for example, when you go to the introduction section, you find a few paragraphs that together create or make the introductory section. So these paragraphs are actually the main blocks of your argumentation, because ultimately your research writing is nothing but a piece of argumentation. You're arguing in favor of something, your stand, your research ideas, your research aims, and your research question. So it's a piece of argumentation. So paragraphs are actually the main blocks of argumentation. And second, sentences. When you break paragraphs, okay, what do you find? You find sentences. So what are the sentences? They're the main block of meaning. So they actually add meaning to the paragraph. So when you bring lots of sentences together and arrange them in a particular manner, in a strategic manner, you create a paragraph. So that is your argumentation. But then before the argumentation, it is more about meaning. And then we can go a little downward and we can find this. So when we reach the bottom of a research paper, I'm talking about, diving. Treat yourselves as divers, so scuba divers. So when you reach the bottom of a research paper, you find these things, words. So words are the most important elements in a research paper. So without it, it will be very, very difficult for you to even put your ideas together, or even project your ideas and create a sentence out of your ideas, and then create a paragraph, and then a full research paper. So it's very important for all of us to understand this reverse process from macro to the micro level. So let's start with the idea of words. So this looks like this. So in order to understand, this is your research article, and then you need to go downwards and go to the bottom of it. So when you come to the bottom of it, you'll find words. So on any given day, you can argue substantially and strongly that without words, it's absolutely impossible to write a research article. So I'll connect you with Professor Pandey's encouragement when he told you that write and write and write. So keep writing. So write a lot. So this writing process needs to start with the idea of words. So that means once you know how to use the words in your research writing, then you develop confidence gradually. And then you enter the sentence zone and then the paragraph zone, and finally you're ready with your research article. So that's what we are going to do today. So let's start with words, the main blocks of construction. You might have heard about these things during this session. I would like to interact with you all so that we get to know each other's views and ideas as well. So we can have lots of interactions in between. So let me quickly start the chat box so that, yes. Right. Yes. So have you heard about academic word list, AWL? I have already given a few things, a few information on the screen for you. So this Coxet, Avril Coxet at Victoria University. So he started this, this academic word list, because when it comes to research writing, we cannot use everyday non-formal, colloquial, rhetorical, flourished language. We have to have a good command of academic words. So this was the first attempt at creating a list of a corpus of academic words. So you see around 3.5 million words were in fact harnessed in order to create 10 sublists for 570 word families. And this academic word list is available for free of charge on the internet. You can, try to browse, try to download the academic word list and try to find out what are those important and significant academic words that you need to, somebody has written no voice at all. This is a message from Jitendra Pandey. So Dr. Shambhu, would you please confirm whether I'm audible or not?
Sir, it is perfectly audible and visible. Please continue, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. So that's the idea. So it's all about, familiarizing oneself with academic words. I'll give you a few examples afterwards. So academic words, so this is one corpus that you can depend on because you have a ready-made corpus. So why should you look for academic words? So you can have this corpus at your possession, and then you can use it as you wish. This is one. And this is the second one. There is an academic vocabulary list, and this is far more comprehensive compared to AWL, the academic word list. And this academic vocabulary list is based on this COCA, it's Contemporary American English, Corpus of Contemporary American English. And that's far more comprehensive. And this is also available free of charge. You can download the entire academic vocabulary list, and you can make use of the academic words that have been recognized by COCA and that has been enlisted by COCA. And you can see it's based on 120 million words, this academic vocabulary list. I mean, unlike the previous one that was based on 3.5 million words, this one is far more comprehensive, and it's based on 120 million words. On the basis of the study of these 120 million words that have been frequently used in research articles across disciplines, this list has been prepared. So once you have access to this list, then you'll get to know what those academic words are, and you can gradually build upon your academic vocabulary capacity. So that will lead to true capacity building. So I'll give you an example of that. Look at this. In terms of frequency, this is the most frequently used word in research writing. Number one word that is used in research writing. When I am pointing your attention to this particular word, I mean to say that study and its variants, for example, studies, studying, and other variants as well. So study, develop, that's the ranking. The top 9 words have been ranked in terms of their frequency. You can see how many times study has been used in research articles. On the basis of this, you can say that study is the most frequently used word in research writing across all disciplines. Study, development, group, and all. So once you familiarize yourself with these words, then, and this is just an example, the top 9 words. This list is far more exhaustive than this. So once you get to know how these words are used, once you familiarize yourself with these words, this task will be very, very easy for you. There is another example. Now, when it comes to academic vocabulary, it's very important for us to understand there are 2 types of words that we all need to grasp, that we all need to master in order to be good at writing skills, especially research writing skills. So one is content words, and you all know content words and structure words. If you do not know, if some of you do not know, there's content words and structure words. Structure words are nothing, they are linking words. Okay, they cannot stand on their own. For example, articles, prepositions, and a few other words. Content words can stand on their own, like action words, verbs, nouns, pronouns, adverbs, and others. So it's very, very important that you master these 2, because when we bring these 2 types of words together, then we can have effective research writing. I'll give you an example of this. Look at this paragraph quickly. Since we do not have much time, look at this paragraph quickly. I have underlined a few words or phrases, okay, which are structure words, including the title of this article, okay. This is just the introductory paragraph of this article. So you can see, again, studies, as I have already told you that this is the most frequently used word across all research papers. So you see, in the absence of, if we take off these words, if we take out these words, what will happen? The content words will lose their meaning, lose their significance. So it's very, very important to understand that this little structure words play a very important, a very significant role in research writing. It's just an indicator. I just wanted to give you an indication of how important the structure words are. But I don't mean to say that the content words are not important. They're far more important. But we need to bring them together. We need to combine the structure words and content words in a manner so that we can produce effective research writing. So the power of academic words, in fact, it is just a task for you, because I always believe in conducting interactive sessions. So just take a look at this. This is, at the end of your research process, you may write. For example, you can sit down and write that I have completed, I have done my research, now what? So what do? You can write it down. Yes, I have done research, I have agreed that I'm going to write to tell my findings, and I have planned my manuscript in that way. So you can see this is a perfect sentence. This is a perfect, piece of information. There is nothing wrong about it. You all will agree with me. But then this sentence is not academic. I just wanted to, show you the difference between academic writing, research writing, and plain everyday basic writing. Now, this is an instance of basic writing, but technically, this is a perfect sentence. There's absolutely nothing wrong about it. So you have done research, you've agreed that you're going to write to tell your findings. Fine. See the difference. You have conducted the research. Done is not academic. Conducted is academic. Similarly, agreed is not academic. Decided is academic. You're going to write to tell your findings is not academic. Publish a paper is academic. Report your findings is academic. You're not telling your findings, you're reporting your findings. Therefore, research articles are also known as report articles. We are reporting our findings to the world. And then you're not planning your manuscript, you have structured your manuscript, because the structure is the most important part of it all. So this is a basic difference. I just wanted you to now know and discover the basic difference between academic writing and plain everyday writing. And that's exactly why most young researchers fail to understand why their paper has been sent back for revision. There was nothing wrong. They cannot find anything wrong about it. So this is exactly where you need to build a capacity for academic writing, and that will happen. It's not impossible. It's a very simple process. Okay, I'll give you a few examples, and with the help of which I'm sure you can take care of these challenges and overcome them. So, for example, research writing is, when you look at the structure of a research article, you'll find that it is basically oriented towards action. It's a piece of action, in fact. It's a projection of an action that has been done. So what exactly are you going to do? You're going to use a few action words. So it's very important that you familiarize yourselves with action words. So these are some of the action words that you use while using the analysis section. Okay, you have a distinct segment in the research article that is called findings, results, and discussion. Okay, when you're analyzing your findings or you're presenting your findings. So results and discussion section where you're analyzing. So these are some of those words that are used, and this list is not exhaustive. So maybe later on, when we get in touch, I can share the exhaustive list with you. And you can also explore the exhaustive list for yourselves. That can be done. So appraise, define, diagnose. These are the words that are used to analyze. Okay, we observed, we identified, we investigated, we diagnosed, we defined, we explored. All these mean differently. You need to be very, very cautious while using each of these words. All right. So to discuss findings, now you can quickly recall a few words that you can use to discuss your findings. You are analyzing your data and various other things. You can use these words. Now, this is a task, short task for you. To discuss your findings, what are the most important words that you can use? Action words, I mean. So you can think of those words quickly. Since we do not have much time, let me tell you. Attest, confirm, contend, demonstrate. Okay, a close investigation of or diagnosis of the data demonstrates this particular thing, indicates this particular thing, reveals this particular things. Okay, confirms this particular things. So this is how you discuss your findings. And then I have one response, that is present. Yes, you can use that. That's an action word, of course. That's true. And then to indicate information in a table, you have incorporate some information in a table. Then how do you indicate? How do you point? because we need pointers in research writing. Okay, these are called signalers, signaling elements. So how do you signal that there is some information that I have put in a table? So these are some of the words that you can use: classify, enumerate, summarize, and a few other things. So that's one. And there is other, to indicate a positive stand. That means when you are very, very confident about your research findings, then you can take a positive stand. Unlike young researchers who are not very, very sure of their research findings or research processes or research procedures. So most of them engage in hedging. I'll tell you what hedging is and how to avoid it afterwards. So to indicate a positive stand, these are the words: confirm, complement, support, uphold, validate. So these words have been taken from research articles that have been published in reputed journals with high impact factor and high citation factor and a few other things. So those are reputed journals. So these are the most popularly used words. What I mean to say is, once you become familiar with this action words for each of the segments of a research article, it'll be easy for you to understand the process of argumentation so that you can use the right word at the right time. Okay, so I mean, I can cite a quick example to tell you how people misread and misunderstand words. Look at a university examination question paper. If the question says enumerate, assess, evaluate, elaborate, enunciate, now students have prepared just one type of answer and they write the same answer in response to all these questions. If the question asks you to enumerate, you write the same answer using the same structure. Evaluate, same answer, same structure. Elaborate, same structure. But then we need to be very, very careful as researchers that we cannot play that game. The editors are far more smarter than we think they are. So we need to be cautious. So these are some of the examples that I use to draw your attention towards this particular thing, which is very, very important in the process of research writing. Next, now this is there's something that you need to avoid in research writing. Okay, because I always believe that if I know the weaknesses, what I'm left with are my strengths. Okay, so it's always good to know the things that we need to avoid in research writing. So phrasal verbs, a big no. It's not advisable to use. So in the place of find out, you can use discover. That's plain academic, and this is non-academic. It's not academic. It is used popularly in everyday speech. Somebody has raised a hand. Can we take the query right now, Dr. Shambhu, or we can reserve the query for the end?
I think that will be better if we can reserve it at the end. Then we can
thank you.
Take the
Right. I can see Aparajita Sengupta has raised her hand. We'll take your question at the end, Aparajita. So plain words like put up, assemble. So this is an indicator. And if you want to make your research paper or research article extraordinarily remarkable by using, ornamental language, rhetorical language, it will not be accepted. It will be rejected right away. So try to make it impressive, not remarkable. There's a basic difference between making it remarkable and making it impressive. So be very, very cautious about it. And quickly, adverbs are not encouraged in research writing because they are not conclusive. Okay, therefore, very is not conclusive. You cannot measure it. It's very, very difficult. So in plain speech, everyday speech, interactive speech, it's okay. But then in research articles are not encouraged. Adverbs are not encouraged. So if you decide to use adverbs, then you can use academic adverbs like substantially and rapidly in the place of quickly and very. These are non-academic words. So I'm trying to familiarize you with these academic and non-academic words by showing the distinction. So reporting verbs, you need to be very, very clear about it. These are tentative, imply. When you say the data implies, that means you're not sure about the data. The data suggests, you're not sure about the data. You're not clear about it. Therefore, the tone is tentative. The editor will quickly understand that you're not very, very confident about your data. Therefore, you have used this word. You may not be, aware of it, but the editor will definitely pick it because they have a corpus of words that should be avoided. So they go by that corpus. Okay, so that is something you need to avoid. So neutral, hedging, people who indulge in hedging, they use this tone, neutral tone. Okay, so interpret, discuss. So that's fine. You can use that. And then when you come to strong, and you can see the difference, the degree, establish, highlight, recommend. These are strong words. Okay, and these are neutral words. So these two types are recommended, are encouraged in research article, but this is not recommended. But I must tell you that most young researchers, they use such a tone in research writing. But then once they become familiar with these practices, they can also overcome these things. And then I'll quickly show you the magic of structure words. For example, you can see a sentence on your screen. I love to write research papers for school. Moreover, I really, enjoy receiving large amounts of homework from my instructors. Now you can see there's a distinct structure. Okay, and what is that? This, this entire statement is composed of two sentences. This is one and this is the second. And these two sentences are joined, are linked by a very interesting expression. That's moreover. Okay. So what does moreover do here? It adds one idea to the other. So we need to understand how these words act, how these words function. I'll give you a list of quick, examples. This is another. You can quickly tell me so that we move on. Romeo told Juliet that her spaghetti sauce was terrible. As a result, Romeo now cooks for himself. So can you tell me, is it addition? Is it addition or something else? What is the intention? How does the argument process, move from one point to the other? Quickly, you can write in the chat box. Okay, addition. This is not addition, this is consequence. All right? This is consequence. As a result, consequence. So Romeo criticized Juliet's spaghetti, and poor Romeo now cooks for himself. Juliet has refused to cook for him. So as a consequence, so as a result, consequently, okay? So whenever we use such words, we must mean that it's the consequence of the previous thing. So this is consequence. And there is another, okay? And you can find that little structure word here. Similarly, now quickly write in the chat box the idea. For example, this is addition, this is consequence, and what is this idea? You can write in the chat box quickly. Alike, right? Comparison, fine. Stop there, please. It is comparison, of course. It is comparison because there's a difference between comparison and contrast. When we offer a comparison, we bring out the similarities. And when we offer a contrast, we bring out the differences. That is the biggest difference between compare and contrast. So it is an instance of comparison. All right, quickly, there is one more. But is contrast. It is an example of contrast here. So a few more examples so that see, what is this? And this is probably a little difficult. What does this do, this phrase? You can write quickly in the chat box. And I can show you the other sentences so that in the meanwhile, you can also think of those things as well. So can you, affirmation, right? Assertion, right? So this is called in research writing, this strategy. I'm actually trying to draw your attention to different strategies. These are called strategic markers in research writing. So if I know how these strategic markers function, then it will be easy for me. Because in research writing, we come across these things. Okay, so this is concession. This is concession. Okay, and then see, this is the example here as the data show. This is confirmation and this is assertion. All right. And then you can see, in fact, here, in fact, this is assertion, confirmation. Specifically, when you say specifically, you are giving specific examples. Without giving specific examples, you cannot write specifically. So it's very, very important that you become aware of these things, you become familiar with these things so that you can use them properly. And then, so in other words, can you quickly write in the chat box the function that it performs? The function that it performs. In other words, okay, substitutes, fine then. Let me explain it to you. Whenever we use in other words, okay, that means we are going to explain this idea a little more. We are going to give some more information about that idea. This happens whenever we think that while writing, whenever we think that the information that we furnished earlier may not be enough for my readers to understand the whole idea. Therefore, I need to give some more information so that they can understand it clearly. There is no bafflement or confusion. So that is the idea, in other words. Okay, you are supporting your readers by providing more information. Okay, so yes, exactly. Another way of explaining things. You're giving more explanation or more information about it. So quickly, there's the last one as well, but we can skip it. What I mean to say is this list is very, very important, and this list is just indicative. It's not, exhaustive. So addition, cause and effect, comparison, contrast, concession, conclusion, emphasis, example, and so on. Once you familiarize yourself with all these things, then it will be very, very easy for you. So this list is a must for researchers, and especially a must for young researchers, because this is the right time for you to build on your capacity. Okay, so your capacity, this is your capacity building stage. Once you do it now, then you'll have a smooth sailing, have a peaceful life. Okay, so that's why I just wanted to draw your attention. I'm just indicating, hinting at the most important things. So just a couple of minutes, and then we can stop and take your questions. See, this is one example. If you use such expressions, it will be promptly pointed out by the editors, okay, by the reviewers. You cannot use informal expression. So always avoid informal expression in your research writing. There is a long list of informal words, formal and informal words. I can share that list with you afterwards. Okay. So in the place of a couple of, you can write many, a few, several, but you need to be very, very clear about few and a few. A few means some, few means none. So be very clear about it. So several researchers have discovered, but a couple of is not acceptable. That is informal expression. Similarly, you can find out the problem here. There's some problem. Okay, the authors don't provide evidence for their claim. You can see this. Contractions are not acceptable in research writing. So avoid contractions. Okay, so these are some of the things that you can do in order to improve your research writing. And then this is the thing that you need to locate. Busted individuals. Busted means it's a slang for ugly. Okay, people who are ugly, it's a slang for them. So busted is not acceptable. That means slangs are not acceptable in research writing. So avoid slangs. So better is unattractive. This is an academic word and this is non-academic. So the whole debate, whole conflict is between academic and non-academic words. And a few, okay? So the cream of the crop, by now you must have understood, this is not acceptable. So this is cliched expressions. You know cliches? We are very thankful to the chief guest because he has taken out some time for us out of his busy schedule and all that. All these are cliched expressions. These are fine in everyday speech, but in research writing, they're not accepted. So you see, the problem lies here. There is a more preferable method to do this. You write preferable because preferable has more inside it. So this is redundant expression. Redundancy is a big no in research writing because I cannot say my friend is an unmarried bachelor. I must say either my friend is unmarried or he's a bachelor. I cannot say unmarried bachelor. That is funny. That is redundant. So avoid redundant expressions in research writing. And then most unique, again, redundant. Unique is unique. There is nothing beyond it. So you don't have to write most unique. Again, a redundant expression. So see how a word needs to be used properly in lesser time is not used properly in less time. So this usage is very, very important. All writers of research papers need to be good at usage, word usage. In order to, I'm going to share a list of these guides with you, and you can follow whenever there is a confusion over how to choose the right word. You can always follow those usage guides and you're ready with the proper word for that proper occasion. So that's, I think we have reached the bottom of the hourglass, I think. Shall we stop here? There are two more segments, but then we can take them tomorrow. Okay, this is the second segment, and then we have a third segment as well. So we can take them tomorrow. And now we can take a few questions. But then for this particular segment, I can tell you that there is a message for you that you don't have to do much about this particular segment. All you need to do is to, quickly, I'm going to share with you this particular document. This document has been released officially by Springer, okay, one of the largest publishers of research journals. So what is interesting about this particular resource is that this resource gives you the option to choose phrases, readily available phrases from a list of 53 elements. That means, for example, the moment you sit down to write, why the field in which you are working is important, because all research writing must begin with field establishment, an activity that is called field establishment. So these are some of the phrases that are extremely useful for field establishment, and they are readily available. You don't have to do anything about it. You can pick them and it will not be treated as an instance of plagiarism, okay? Because these are generic phrases. Our team at the University of Manchester, they have created a corpus of these phrases after studying millions of research articles in the past 5 decades, and they have prepared this list of the most frequently used phrases across all research articles. I mean, in all research articles across all research disciplines. So you can pick these ready-made phrases without committing plagiarism. And this will make your task very, very easy, because you can see establishing your field, outlining the past, present history, and then indicating the knowledge gap. These are the phrases that you can use. And then the aim of your paper, these are the phrases. Okay. So I'm going to share this document with you so that you can make use of it. So thank you for now. We'll meet again tomorrow and we'll take up this for further discussion. Okay.
So, yeah. So thank you, Dr. Ajit Kumar Mishra. It is simply wonderful. And what I have found in most of such webinar on such issues, this is one component where we generally pay less attention.
Exactly.
It was simply wonderful. And as you told, you will continue in your tomorrow. You are also the first speaker. So there will be a chance to have some more discussion. But right now, I'll just go to Aparajita, who tried to raise hands.
Yes.
And yeah. Aparajita, can you listen?
I mean, the participants can also write their questions in the chat box.
Right.
Yeah, that can
I have
also be
checked
done.
it. I am not finding any such specific question. Everybody, I mean, basically expressed their liking about such your presentation.
So not getting questions may also mean that they either did not understand or did not like.
So our coordinator, our coordinator may ask, I mean, like to ask a question.
There is yes, there is just please, sir, please let me know how do I pronounce your name. I'm getting to see it. Yes, please let me know.
Shorit Choudhury.
Okay, fine. Thank you. Yes.
Hello.
Yes, just a moment. I have a
Harit,
question.
sir.
Yes, yes. I have a question from a participant. Let me take it first.
So Rajesh.
Yes,
Rajesh, please.
Dr. Mishra, I work in Rajiv Gandhi University, and I'm from chemistry. So this was kind of a very enlightening talk regarding the very minute uses of words and all these things. So what I'm coming to you is that, like in science, like we often write things much like kind of in a very short and like concise way, rather than writing a research paper in like literature or others. So
exactly.
Is this vocabulary is it same for like both social science, literature and science?
As I told you, I mean, if you look at the AWL list, that is academic word list, AVL, academic vocabulary list, and even the Manchester list. So you'll find that, I mean, the corpus has been prepared by taking into account research articles written across all disciplines: engineering, sciences, including medical sciences, agricultural sciences, and a few other sciences, humanities and social sciences, across all disciplines. And these are, I mean, the basic words that are used in research writing, irrespective of the discipline that you profess. So these are the words, they do not change, they remain the same. As I told you, study is the most frequently used, study and its variants is the most frequently used words across all research disciplines. So all these words, all these examples, for example, in this report, if you are talking about a scientific report, you can write in this report. If you're not talking about a scientific report, you can always write this paper outlines. So that's the basic difference. So you have multiple choices. It's almost like multiple choices that are available to you. So you can pick a phrase of your choice, and you can pick the phrase that best suits your need, the purpose of your writing. So this is one of the best things to happen in recent times.
Thank you.
So could I answer your question, Professor Chakravarti?
Yeah, thanks a lot.
So, okay, let me give it to our coordinator.
Sir, I have a question, sir. Sir,
Yes,
I'm Ravinder. I'm doing my research at Pondicherry University. Sir, I have
yes.
Sir,
Yes, please go ahead.
The question is I have read some literature and I have seen some of the researchers, they have done some work which is close to my heart, and I am working on that. Now, problem is now they have proposed one conceptual model, and they are using, they have used for their work, and they have given final model also. Now in India, I want to test this model along with some other relationships also I wish to include, and I wish to test this. That means whatever variables they have used there in their conceptual model, I will be using that, and I'm using some more relationships to develop some new model. So sir, whatever variable they have used, and because I am using the same and some more, so then it will go under plagiarism because some of the variables are same, or like how I'll be, because language I can play with the words, but variables will be same. Am I right, sir?
No. I mean, I'm not talking about the idea of playing with language so that you escape the scanner, the plagiarism scanner. Plagiarism is also said to happen when your ideas match and you do not acknowledge. So there is nothing wrong in testing the conceptual model developed by some other researchers in the past. And it's always a good idea to test that conceptual model by offering a new model vis-a-vis, okay, by the side, and then test, then offer a comparison and a contrast. And it's nothing wrong if you acknowledge the variables used by those people. So acknowledging always strengthens the research process, not only the research process, but also the research writing process. And it takes away the risk of committing unintentional, inadvertent plagiarism in your writing. So it's always a good idea. You can do so. It's always a good idea to offer an alternative conceptual model vis-a-vis, but it's always a good idea to acknowledge the contribution of those people. For example, while we are still on the screen, you can see this model. In the place of paper, you can write this model is an overview of this, or review of this, or is an attempt to this. So this model does this, and the model that I'm going to offer will do this. So there lies a difference between these two models. Okay, for one particular thing, they have proposed a model, but I am proposing a different model. Okay, but the idea, the whole idea of both the models is to solve the same problem, the same question. Okay, so you can do that, but try to acknowledge. I mean, I do not encourage play with language so that you can avoid the plagiarism scanner. That's not a good idea.
That means, sir, I will be acknowledging to two set of person. One is like that paper which I am referring, and the variables which is cited by other scholars earlier and mentioned in that paper. So two set of scholars I will be citing, right, sir? Where I'm reading, and exactly. The earlier scholar who she has cited some other persons. So I will be citing, acknowledging two kind of person, two set of.
Exactly. There are very smart people in this world. They have created a software called Sentence Spinner. Okay, Sentence Spinner. So if you want to avoid the plagiarism scanner, you can put a sentence into that software. It will spin the sentence by using different words in a different manner so that there'll be no plagiarism match on similarity report. But then that's never a good idea. I always discourage that. That's against the academic ethics.
Okay, let me just take one from the chat box, and this is by Dr. Shiva Shukla. Let me read that comments. Many times a word processor give a suggestion for changing the voice from passive to active voice. Is this mistake possible or to be avoided? Absolutely.
Exactly. See, the word processor is a good assistant. It's not a master. Okay, and that's one big reason why most publication houses, most publication houses, especially the editors, if they send your article back or return your article for revision of language elements, they always write that do not take the help of Grammarly. Okay, so either it's Grammarly or any word processor. So these things can be good assistants, but it's completely up to you to take the final call. As I told you, I mean, you can see these examples on your screen. There are multiple options. This paper, now there are so many options: outlines, proposes, describes, presents a new approach. Okay, so this is the object of your statement, and this paper, and this is the object of your statement. In order to present this object, you have multiple options. So outlines is different from proposes, and both of them are different from describes, and all three are different from presents. So it is completely up to you. The word processor, or there is no such software in the world that can determine it for you, that can decide it for you. You are going to decide what exactly you need. What exactly is the word that you need to pick or use in a particular situation, in a particular place. So therefore, word processors are good assistants, but then the decision maker is you, not the word processor. So that's the idea.
So let me just take the last one from our coordinator.
Yes.
Dr. Shambhu Prasad, please.
Thank you, sir. This question is not mine. I have taken from the chat box only. There are many questions. So one question is that means vocabulary, sentences, or grammatical, what things to be kept in mind when we write a research article and research paper? Is there any difference of writing, or the skill of writing is same? And one more question I have taken from the chat box only. That okay. Is there any software? Sir,
can I respond to the first question first?
The same, it is continuation, sir.
Okay, fine.
Is there any software to correct this academic vocabulary, grammar, like that?
Right. So I'll start by responding to the second part of this question, or the second question as such. As I just said, Grammarly is a good option, but then it's not the best available option, because a few researchers have studied Grammarly, and they have found that there are many places or many occasions when Grammarly actually fails. And I have a few instances when I sit down to write, Grammarly doesn't help you that much. So it's a good assistant. It can help you occasionally, but then there is no such software as of now. You can take the help of such assistants like Grammarly and a few others, but then it's completely up to you. And that's the reason why, I mean, we humans are still very, very important. All right. Now to the first half of this question, that is, I mean, is there any basic difference in our writing approaches to writing research papers and writing research articles? Okay, so most often there is a debate between whether a research paper is a research paper or a research article, because there are many journals that call it a research article, okay, not a research paper. So now this distinction is gradually dissolving. All right, it's dissolving gradually, but earlier, in the beginning, when academic writing was making its way into academics, so there was a clear-cut distinction. Student papers used to be called research papers, student papers or academic papers, research papers. By student papers, I mean when you're pursuing a certain degree, a certain program, an academic program like the undergraduate program or the postgraduate program. So you are required as part of your degree requirement, you're required to submit a certain paper. Okay, it can be a dissertation, it can be a term paper. So that's when the student papers were called research papers or academic papers. And those articles that went to journals for publication were called research articles. That was the distinction. But then now the distinction is gradually dissolving. So people are calling it, some people call it research papers, some people call it research article. But then I can tell you that research article is a more popularly used word for articles that are processed for publication in standard research journals. They call it research article, not research papers. Okay, most journals call it research articles. Okay, so we can still go by that distinction that if it's a student paper, we can call it an academic or a research paper.
So let me thank Dr. Ajit Kumar for your very useful deliberation, which definitely benefited all of us collectively and each one of us individually. And as I told, in tomorrow's session, you are going to be the first speaker. From the moderator side, I'll just only request you, please, if you can cite certain literature, whether it can be in relation to social science, literature, whatever, that will be beneficial, that the coordinators can take note of and that can be circulated. Otherwise, let me just say that all the three presenters, distinguished speaker, talked about three different components of what we are looking on, that ultimately how to publish the quality research paper and then the quality research journal. There is a general structure irrespective of the disciplines, and I feel our memories are very fresh in relation to all these three distinguished speakers. I don't need to have a kind of an overview or critical comments on those each of these presentation. But I must say that when it comes down to the level of individual discipline, then the further the subject specificity, subject specification comes into play, whether it is in relation to the structuring of the research problem, the methodological part, or the end product in the form of the research findings, no, which you published in the form of research article or whatever. So that remains, but this is a long journey in relation to 5 days. Such course cannot take care of every disciplinary requirements, but definitely whatever three of our distinguished speaker spoke about, that will be definitely beneficial irrespective of our own disciplinary location. But I must say at the end that yes, we are looking for which will be in a high impact journal, which has its own meaning in terms of the standard of publication and the kind of, when you are comparing with the China, the first speaker was talking about, whether it's in journal or even in the form of a book, right, by the international publishing houses. To my understanding, at the end of the day, we should also try to be focused on another important issue, which some of the perhaps the earlier speakers spoke about. That's the question of the importance of the stakeholder of this whole research process. And I'm trying to come down to the level of the community on which the researches are done. So the question of reaching to the community, the benefits of our research, that also need to be taken into serious consideration. Otherwise, it should not be a kind of an, we look for our career, research will turn into a kind of an exercise for career advancement scheme to our different respective position where we are located. So the question of the community's benefit wherever possible, especially in social science research, that need to be also looked in a very critical way. And perhaps there comes to the question of what we call the decolonization process. Decolonization in the sense of our cognitive domain, in the sense of every level of our methodological trait, methodological craft, whether choosing a subject or the subject-object dilemmas, the methodology which we are applying, even the objectives which we are defining in relation to our study, I think that need to be rethought in the light of the new development, the new debates, which are part of any disciplinary firm irrespective of their disciplinary boundaries. Now, with this, let me once again congratulate three distinguished speakers and all the participants. We are almost 620, but still around how many? A little less than 200 people. A few minutes back, it was almost 230 participants were with us. So I'll congratulate once again all the participants who remain part of this such an important day and this 5 days webinar. And I'll thank the coordinator for giving me an opportunity to be part of this session. To me personally, it's a great learning. Definitely, I'm basically an anthropologist. I'll say I'm very much hardcore empiricist, but definitely each of these deliberation is a learning for me as an individual practitioner of the discipline. So with this, I'll pass it over to Dr. Shambhu Prasad to do the final ritual part of what we call popularly vote of thanks. Thank you. Thanks to all of you.
Thank you, Professor Chaudhary.
Thank you. Thank you, sir, for again giving me this opportunity to propose a formal vote of thanks. Once again, I want to state that we are all almost grateful to all the speakers on this stage. We thank you for being with us this evening. It's been really a great pleasure. At first, I would thank for the first speaker of the day 4, Professor J.P. Singh Jurel. He has delivered lecture on method descriptions along with design, sample, number of sample and data analysis. It's obviously a lifetime cherishable opportunity which cannot be forgotten by any one of us. I thank the second speaker, Dr. Rajiv Pandey, who talked on research papers and developing tables. Thank you, sir, for your amazing lectures and discussions. We learned a lot and benefited from your sessions. Thank you. The lecture which was given by the Dr. Ajit Kumar Mishra on building blocks of research writing, which was an interesting and inspiring one. Thank you so much for making a big class feel small and super fun. Thank you so much for facilitating such a positive learning environment. We are greatly encouraged by your gracious presence and immensely benefited by your inspiring words. I convey thanks to all the distinguished participants who have come from different departments to participate in this 5-day capacity building program. This program would not have been such a grand success without such an overwhelming participant from different corners of the country. My special thanks goes to Professor Sarit Chaudhary, Professor Department of Anthropology, for accepting our invitation to moderate the session. Thank you, sir. Thank you for sparing your valuable time with us and your kind cooperation. I thank you one and all. Good night.
Thank you very much. Okay.
Sir, one question. Sir, I am Dr. Sanjit Kumar Mahandi. I am unable to submit my feedback last 3 days. Actually I don't know the chat. The link will come through chat box. I always wonder about my mail. So I cannot provide the feedback. But I am still. Yesterday you have tell there someone not submitting their feedback. So I am questioning that what is the feedback? How can I submit? So
you drop me a mail. You drop me a mail, okay? Whatever issue you have, We will sort it out. No need to worry about the feedback.
And today I given the
No
feedback.
problem, no problem. We will consider. No need to worry about the feedback. Okay.
But I am chat regularly. I am regularly chat all session. In the all session, you can verify.
Yeah, I understand. No need to worry about the feedback. You'll get your certificate. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, sir, very much.
Thank you. I have a announcement. I have one announcement that PPT will be shared to you by your registered email address. Okay, at the time of giving the certificate. So it is not possible for us to circulate to every email ID. So I'll be circulating the PPT. No need of worry. The moment the resource person will provide us the PPTs and the other material also, definitely we will be providing you. Okay. Thank you so much. We'll be meeting you again tomorrow.
Thank you very much, sir. Good evening, sir. Thank you.
Good evening.